Hello, everyone, and welcome into this week's conversation for Heart Healing Conversations with Dawn and Janna. Just kind of diving in this week because I've had this topic come up a few times just in the last week of people reaching out and saying that I'm kind of on the toxic positivity, if you will, where every time somebody reaches out with a problem, I offer kind of helpful solutions to kind of help them get past those humps, whether it be, journaling or go outside and take a walk, always focusing more on the positive. And there's been a lot of people that have brought up, well, how come you're not like us? Like, you're not having those bad days. You're not sitting and, second guessing yourself, and you're not pulling back and avoiding, any kind of conversations with people just because you're stuck. And that kind of hit home because it's so untrue for us as healers and helpers, where we do spend a lot of our time still grieving so much, even in every day, whether it be, oh my gosh, bills are coming due and I don't know how I'm going to pay them right now, or, all of the little things do still stack up for us too. We've just learned to navigate using different tools, how to better use our energies to draw in more of the happier things and focus more on the positive things so that we don't get into that negative space and continue that downward spiral to where we're back where we used to be, in that ugly space of, oh, life hates me, nothing good's ever going to happen. And I just thought that it would be great to remind people that, we're humans too. And even though we offer a lot of these things for you to help you because we want to see you come out of those dark spaces, we've been in a lot of those dark spaces and we continue to be every day.
Yeah, that's a great reminder, Jana. I mean, yes, we do talk about gratitude. We talk about things that we can do to get ourselves out of the difficult spaces we're in. But we also talk about it's absolutely imperative that we look at the painful emotions, that we learn tools to process them instead of just pushing them down, because then it continues the cycle and it keeps us stuck. And, I absolutely have bad days where I have to, remind myself, look, you're different now. You have tools, you have support around you. Don't fall into some of the vicious cycles that you used to do previously, where get down on yourself, you'd be depressed, you didn't know how to move forward, it was hard to get anything done. Um, Monday, I had a really difficult day because I found out some distressing news on Sunday night. And so Monday I got up and I just didn't know how to move forward. And I was just very much struggling with what the future was going to look like. And I kept getting this person's name in my head. And I was like, this is weird. Why is this coming up? And it kept happening during the day. And then I picked up something and realized that this individual had given it to me in the past. And I finally realized, you know what? It's really important for me. I need to reach out to this person. Like, my intuition is trying to tell me something, because right now I'm struggling and I'm not reaching out for support. And so I left this individual a message and they called me within 5 minutes. We had this conversation and, I needed to be heard. I needed to talk about what was going on instead of always caring for other people. I'm the healer, but that doesn't mean that I don't have days or weeks where I'm going through something. We've had an incredible amount of things on our plate lately, like you have, Jenna. And, even though we're there for other people, we are still doing the work behind the scenes. And the reason that we can, talk about journaling and, stepping outside and, getting yourself in the sun or the woods or whatever is because we have done this work and we know that it helps. Does it heal us? Does it solve the problem? No, we still have to feel the emotions. We have to use effective tools to process the grief and the emotional pain. But we know there's ways to get ourselves recentered and into a more peaceful state. Because the truth of the matter is that when we are in these spaces, there's no healing that happens when we're spiraling. We have to get ourselves centered again. And once we do that, we can start looking at what is it that's coming up for us? Why am I in this space? What pain am I experiencing? What memories are coming up? And so I love that you brought up this conversation because no one is immune to grief. No one is immune to painful life experiences and struggles. It's just a part of life, and they're what help us grow.
Yeah. And I think one of the most important parts, like you mentioned, is being able to, as the healer, kind of have the the strength to reach out to somebody and just hold a conversation. There's something special in our healing journeys when we offer all of these healing options, going outside, those kind of things. It has a way of taking and resetting our nervous system so we don't feel so constricted and so tight and so attacked, so that we can open up a little bit and kind of relax enough to feel safe in our own bodies again, and be able to, say, reach out to somebody and say, hey, I'm having a rough time, do you mind listening? Or like you said, where something kept coming up reminding you of this person, sometimes that's that little nudge that, oh, hey, maybe they're going to have the word of wisdom that I need. They're willing to listen to me, and just reaching out. There's just so many times that I think people get so stuck in the self-doubts and, that constriction feeling on your body, so tight and so scared, where we feel, well, nobody wants to talk to me. So I'm just bugging them if I reach out to them. And that's so far from true, because most of us are struggling with many things all at the same time. And so if you feel that, and you first start hesitating when somebody comes to your mind, and that's all you do, again, you're downward spiraling, and, oh, they don't want to talk to me. They don't want to listen to me. They don't want to hear my problems. Like, they're tired of listening to me. And that's not the case, especially in mental health today. Like, everybody would much rather be there to help listen to you, offer suggestions that might be helpful, just to be that listening heart, versus you continuing to spiral into where you don't feel worthy and where you don't feel loved. Like, we all deserve this. We all deserve to be able to find that joy and the happiness. And again, like you said, I've had a rough couple of weeks, honestly, with our little doggy having so many issues and stuff. And sometimes it does literally just take even reaching out and crying, which is okay. I don't have the answers, but you know what? I let the emotions process, and guess what? Now I feel a big release, and I understand that what's meant to be will come to me, and I can accept that without overwhelming myself with more emotions like, oh, well, I should have the answer by now, or I should know better than to do this, and being so harsh on ourselves. It's just so important to recognize both the positive and negative emotions, and be able to process them and move forward from them.
Yeah, that is so true. This is a good reminder of, healers helping healers. Like, we need to be supportive to one another. We need to surround each other with community. I think many times those of us that are healers think we have to be strong. And you and I teach, being strong doesn't allow us to be honest and authentic, and doesn't allow us to heal. So, it's important that we sit back and realize we don't have to be strong all the time, because guess what? We're human. And as humans, we have hearts, and hearts experience emotions. And so, those of us that are healers, the more work that we do, the more we're able to be honest and vulnerable about what's going on in our own lives, the more we're going to be able to help other people. Because I don't know about you, but when I like read a post on some platform or I get an email and somebody's like vulnerable about something that's happened in their life, and I read it and I think, gosh, I've gone through that myself. It just helps me feel more connected and it helps me feel seen, even though they don't even know that I'm reading their email or their post. They might not even know who I am. I just follow them. But I feel seen. I don't feel so alone. And in the world today, many of us feel alone. And this is a great time to remind people like, if you feel alone, reach out to Jana or myself. Like in the show description is our contact information. You can schedule a free call with either one of us to just feel supported. That's what we are here for. That's our number one mission, both of us, is to ensure that people don't feel alone when they're going through things that are difficult, because we all do.
Yeah, we both have been into places where we felt that complete aloneness and felt like we were taking on the world and nobody was on our side, and we struggled through it, and our stories eventually led us to where we are in our healing journeys and as healers today. And so that's always been top priority, is moving forward, paying it forward to help you, our listeners, our friends, our family. We want to help you guys be able to navigate all that life throws at you, no matter how big or how small, because a lot of times I hear that too. Oh, well, my stuff is just small compared to some of the stuff that you've had to deal with. Well, that might be, but it's still hitting you hard enough that it's bothering you. So we need to get that off your chest.
Well, and we never compare grief. Like,
Exactly.
I've gone through something devastating, and you've gone through something devastating. Like, we all experience grief at 100%. And I have no idea how that's affected you, and you have no idea how my event or experience has affected me, right? So we can't compare. And
Yep.
that does frustrate me when people want to compare
Yeah.
because there are so many things that affect our lives. And I think sometimes people look at healers and therapists, counselors, and think, oh, well, they have it all together. They haven't really gone through a lot. Well, I guarantee 100% we have gone through a lot. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've grew up in a family with addiction. I was in an abusive relationship in my teenage years. I was divorced at the age of 30. I lost my dad. I had strange relationships. You know, so many things have happened in my life. And am I saying that to feel like a victim or make myself sound like a victim? No, because they've actually all been gifts in my life because I've learned how to heal and use those experiences to help myself and to help others. But I guess I want to bring that to light that there's so many things that I've gone through in my life. So I am not immune to difficulties and challenges, and you aren't either. We're healers, and that's just what's helped us become who we are today.
To be honest, I kind of even feel that the more healing work I do, kind of the deeper feelings I have in anything that comes up, because I am more open to feeling both sides of the equation now, instead of just the complete, oh, this is the worst thing and only the bad side. Like, I feel that it's gotten a little bit more in depth and like more painful at times, where it's like, oh my gosh, even the smallest thing can completely devastate and hurt my heart. And it might take me out for, a few days, but that's okay too. I'm allowed to make
Right.
space and take that time to grieve it, to understand it, and then come back out as I'm ready to. I think that's one of the things that this world doesn't allow for, is that we are supposed to move on so fast with anything that happens, that none of us are truly feeling anything anymore. And we're just becoming
Mhm.
kind of our own version of AI robots, walking around just completely numb. And while sometimes, numb is the way everybody thinks we're supposed to be because, well, then I don't have to worry, I don't have to feel anything. That's not how we were designed. I mean, we're designed to care for each other, to love each other, to feel joy and happiness. And I mean, we're also designed to feel, this the scared, the anger, the hurt. It's a balancing act. We have to be able to feel these things.
Yeah, and I love, I've read some of Brene Brown's work over the years, and I love how she highlights we cannot get to joy without going through the other painful emotions. Like if you've blocked the pain, you're also blocking joy. You can't block one and not the other. And so if we're not willing to deeply feel the emotions that we're experiencing, then the painful ones, then we're not going to experience the really happy ones.
Mhm.
And that really strikes me deeply because one of the things in my life that I feel very grateful for is being able to see the gifts around me. Just going outside in the backyard and looking at the flowers. I mean, their little violas are purple and it looks like they're smiling at me. I mean, just little things like that, like a moment of joy, right? Or watching Shania and how she's always smiling and she's giving me kisses and she's upside down on the bed, just those things. But if I was holding on to a lot of pain from things of my past or my present, I wouldn't be able to see the joy in the present moment. And that's really where we want to live is the present moment because we can't change the past except that we can do healing work, which is super important. And we can't change the future at this point. I think many of us live in, oh, what's going to happen in the future? I'm worried about it. What if this happens or what if that happens? Well, what if you live in this present moment? Because the present moment is going to determine what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah. I remember in some of my deepest parts, dealing with Jeffrey and his being sick when he was early on, it really forced me to live in the moment because I didn't know how much time I would have because, we were looking at heart problems and things. And when you get on that spectrum, especially with a little kid, your mind goes to the worst possible scenario. And so
Mhm.
it really taught me to look for the joy in, oh my gosh, we woke up today and I get to spend the day with him again.
Mhm.
Or, you know what? Today he's smiling and happy and jumping around and being a playful, normal little kid. That's a win. And I think a lot of
Absolutely.
that is stuff that we completely bypass because
Mhm.
we're in robot mode of I have to get to work, I have to make dinner, I have to do this, all the I have to's instead of I get to.
Mhm. Yeah, and the only way to go through life, navigate it without having regrets is to embrace the present moment. And that means whatever it is. And making sure that you're not always distracted when you're with the people you love, making sure you tell them how much they mean to you, not waiting until, oh, I'll do that next week. You know, do it now. Don't live with regrets because you and I talk to people every day who have regrets. And once that regret is formed, it's really hard to let it go. All
Mm-hmm.
those things that we wish we would have done differently.
Yep. Put that phone down, go out and play baseball.
Mhm.
Any of that. It truly
Yeah,
is those little moments, like you said, where you don't, you're in the moment. Just think about some of the things that you might miss that you're not taking time out to do and enjoy this one moment.
yeah. It's like you and I were supposed to meet about 30 minutes earlier than we did because I went out to take a break and I was just about ready to get on the computer with you, but my stepson came downstairs and I wanted to support him. He needed the support. And I was pulled. I was like, oh, but I am supposed to be on with Jana. But I knew that if I didn't just show up in that present moment for him, that I would have regrets because I wanted to be there for him. It was so important. And so I think that's a great example. Like sometimes we have to make a choice, but which is the thing that it's going to be okay to just push off just a little bit, because it's important that we're there for someone that needs
Yeah.
us, right?
This is one of them that I unfortunately had to learn when I lost my baby Jessie. Not everybody grasps on to how much worth you are in home at your family versus where we spend most of our time at work.
Hmm.
As soon as I lost him, like they contacted me 3 days later wanting to know when I was coming back to work. They didn't care about anything other than I need somebody in this position to fill your spot. So if you're not coming back for, the next 6 weeks, okay, maternity leave. I just had a baby. I should get my 6 weeks anyway. But they didn't see it that way because, oh, well, I lost him. So that's not even there anymore. You're supposed to be right back. And I never realized how much of a number I was in society's eyes until that moment. And it blew me away. I was like, you I can't come back. I can't come be an employee for you, period, because you don't see me as a human and what I just went through. And I think a lot of people kind of miss that because we're so used to chasing the dollar and, especially with the economy being as tight as it is right now, we're so stressed out. We need that income. But that's what they're actually feeding on for us right now is, well, I need you here more. I need you here more. But truthfully, it's your family that needs you the most. Making that one little decision to take that extra 5 minutes, 10 minutes with your wife or your children, that's going to mean so much more to you later on than, oh, yeah, I took, that extra hour of overtime and that really paid out well. Well, most of it goes out in taxes. So, I mean, again, it truly is about what are our priorities and making
Hmm.
sure they remain a priority.
Absolutely. I think as a society, we've lost the human heart in many aspects. I mean, as a nurse, I remember, people would need time off because their child was going to have surgery and management would say no. And, those were the kind of things that ended up forcing me out. Like I was done. I couldn't, there were so many things that added up that we've talked about in other episodes, but that was another one. Like that, how is a healthcare field can we not care for the people that do this job? Like, what are we teaching our patients? And
Yep.
so we need to get back to caring for one another. We need to get back to caring for our families and focusing on what's most important. I mean, yes, money is nice. It allows us to do things in life that maybe we wouldn't be able to do otherwise, but what are we giving up when we are always working, right?
Yep. And usually you can feel it too, because when somebody asks you and you don't like it, you can feel that constriction, like that tightening in your heart, like, no, I had this other plan. I need to do this. But you gotta follow your heart and do what you're going to remember, like what your kids are going to remember, what your
Yeah.
parents, grandparents, everybody, that's what they're going to cherish is the, hey, you stayed here 10 minutes extra and held a good conversation with me instead of just rushing down the road to hurry up and get to the next thing.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Well, I know we've kind of gone longer this episode, but I think that this conversation was really important. I want to encourage everybody this week to practice being in the present moment,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's a painful one. Like if you're going through something, allow your emotions to be present. Allow yourself to process them, talk about them with somebody you trust. And if it's a moment where you're spending with a loved one, put down your phone and just be in that moment. We don't always have to be multitasking. And it's a good reminder to me too. I mean, as a business owner, I'm constantly multitasking, but I also make sure that I take time with my loved ones because it's important. I don't want to end up with regrets, and the people in my life, I love them dearly. So, with that, we will see you next week for another episode of Heart Healing Conversations. Take care and be well, my friends.
Thanks, everyone.